Thank you. Now you listen me well. Thank you very much. All right. Please raise your hand who has been writing a paper and the paper is published. All right. And the second question, did you write it by yourself or your professor write it with you? For you, by yourself? By yourself, okay. Next question, why is important if you are a scientist that you write papers? Why is it important? Funding. This is very important, funding. And in some countries, at least I know that in Argentina and in Mexico, we have a national scientist system. And to be in this national research system, you have to write papers. If you don't write papers, you don't belong, you are not a national scientist, and to get funds, you have to be a national scientist. To have PhD and master students, you have to have this. You have to publish papers. Then this is the reason. And if you want that to be known outside your country, and many times in your country, you have to write papers. And it is a way for dissemination of the research you are doing. Now, you know that it is very expensive, and this is a problem because you have to pay a lot. Most of the journals are open journals, and you have to pay maybe 2,000, 3,000 euros or dollars to publish. So this is very complicated, and now in some countries this is changing. But you have the chance to ask for a waiver that you don't pay if you belong to certain countries. They have the list of the countries, or at least when you submit your paper, you can ask for a special price, for a discount, and then we have to use this. In another way, it will be very hard to publish. Then I will try to work together with you to learn how to write a paper. And if you know already how to write a paper, how you can improve this. These are some advice of what are the important points to write a paper. And if I can, I will give you tomorrow some tips about how to write a research grant, because this is very important. We have the papers, you have your CV, but you have to learn how to write a proposal. And now that we have a WhatsApp group, I will share with you some articles and this presentation so you have all this information. Okay, first I will talk a little about my research center. But I need something that I didn't got. You know that we Mexicans love chili. So we have chili in every place. This morning I asked, I need some chili for the papaya. And yesterday Alba and I drink some cocoa water, and after they cook the cocoa and we eat the cocoa pulp. I said, I miss my chili. I didn't bring chili. Then these are candies with chili that I will leave them in the coffee break. These are very funny, and I choose them because we call them pelon. You have to turn this, and then the candy with the chili will go out like hairs. and it has 3 different flavors: watermelon, chamoy, I don't know how to say it in English, and mango. Okay, then I am coming from this state that is Hidalgo, close to Mexico City. This is the, oh, sorry. No. This is our research center, Ciudad Hidalgo, and you know that we have a very special party on November the 1st and November the 2nd. This is a party for the dead people, but we are very happy in this party. Why? Because in this party we thought our family who is dead, our friends, our boyfriends or our partners will come here, they will live with us, and we are very happy to invite them. And then we have a special ofrenda. We have this in the institute, but this year we decide that we will be Catrinas. Then we took these pictures on November the 1st, and she said, I am Katrina, because she didn't have time. She had to send some information. She bought everything, but she didn't have time to make up her. Is Michelle, a PhD student. Then we offer the master and PhD degree in science and regional development. Then we are a very special research center because we have basic science, we have technological development, and we have the humanities, psychologists, and economics working, and we all work together. Okay. Okay. The scientific inquiry, you know that is very important. And this is always, we are always asking what happened. What can be discovered? What is noticed before, during, and after? What is the problem? What is being explored? What is the main question to be answered? What can be researched before? What do you believe will happen? What is your hypothesis? What steps will be taken to answer the main question? What conclusions can be drawn? What can you do to find out more? These are the questions that we always have when we want to write a paper, when we want to start a research project. What have done? What can I do that haven't been done? What do I need? What can I observe? And so forth. The scientific paper has developed over the past 3 centuries into a tool to communicate the results of some scientific inquiry. I ask and then I publish. The main audience for scientific papers is very specialized. I almost have to remember this because sometimes when I am writing a paper, I try to write it as I am giving a class, and it is not. I am writing for very specialized people that know exactly my subject. Then I don't have to forget this because many times I start describing. This is an equation. A means this is the direct line equation. A plus Y equal to A plus B. No, we don't have to write this. We have to think, everybody who will read my paper knows this, and I have to go to a higher level. Then I will present information that is easy to repeat. I have to write my paper, and the experiments or the equations, the modeling, has to be very clear And everyone who reads this paper is able to repeat and to get the same results I got. If not, it doesn't make sense. And these guides are very important. You will have the slides, and you can check them. And how do I write a paper? I will say everybody writes it as he or she can. There is not a specific method. I will ask you, if somebody asks you, how will you raise your baby? I don't know. I can read a lot of books, but at the end, I had my own way to raise a baby. And it is the same. If you will write a paper, finally, you will get your own style, your own way to write the paper. But you have to have always a title. And the title is the subject and what aspect of the subject was studied. It has to be short and very clear. For example, in the posters, there are some that had a very, very long title. I read all the posters that were submitted to this meeting to check what I will explain you, what paper should I have. And sometimes the title is so long that you cannot really understand. The title has to describe what was the main point of your paper, but has to be short, and everybody has to understand it. And this is the first problem. How will I resume some very, very long title? I want to write everything I did. I can't. I have to write a short title that everybody will understand. The abstract, the summary of the paper, the main reason for the study, the primary results, the main conclusions. Again, sometimes they say you have to write your abstract in 150 words, no more. And now you will see that there are other abstracts that are even shorter and more complicated. Then, I cannot. How can I write everything that I did? How can I describe everything in 150 words or less? I have to do it. I just came from a Congress in Mexico, and the students have 2 minutes to explain their posters. They have to go in the front, and in 2 minutes, I have to convince all the public to go to visit my poster. When the first time I thought, 2 minutes, is it possible? Is it possible that you describe, that you in 2 minutes say, my poster is about this, come to visit me. Introduction, why the study was undertaken. What was the reason I took this study? I chose this topic. And this is why you have to read everything that is written about this topic. And you will tell me, no, it is very easy. I go to the chat GTP and I ask this topic, and the chat GTP will give me all the answers, and I had my abstract, I had my introduction. Is it true? Please, can you explain us what happened when you asked this to the GTP? Chat. Yes. And the other problem is that when you are talking about something very specific, the database doesn't have this data. Then you get so crazy things that you don't understand. Then we have to be careful. We can ask to GTP, but we have to read careful. And many times we have to check and correct everything. Then it works, it is a tool that we can use, but it won't do the work for us. Then methods and materials, how the study was undertaken. And this is really very important. We have to explain very clearly how we develop, what we use to, what the methods, the materials that we use, how we have to describe, then remember that everybody can repeat it. And if we don't describe materials and methods very clearly, nobody will be able to repeat the experiments. The results, what was found, and the discussion. Why these results could be significant. What the reasons might be for the patterns found or not found. This is very important, and I will show you why your papers are accepted and why they are not accepted. If you have some questions, please, you can interrupt me in English, Spanish, or Portuguese. How do I write the paper now? As I told you, there is no unique way. Everybody will develop her own way to write a research paper. But this person, this is a women scientist, say, you should start with the vision statement. What I want to write, what is the most important thing I found, this is the center. Second, write your figures, your graphs, your tables. What do I need to convince the people that my results will give an answer to my vision statement? And then you write methods, results, from results and discussion, the conclusions. After you have all this, you go back to the introduction and you go to your abstract, and maybe you will change your title. And the references are very important for the title, for the abstract, for the results, and for the discussion. Then I always go in one direction, and I come back, and I will feed back from one data to the other, and I will change and change and change. Sometimes my student says, oh, I will finish my experimental work, and in 1 month, I will write my paper, and I will get my title. And the answer is, we always say, cuernitos, you won't get it. To write a paper, you really need some time. My idea is about 6 months or a little more. And how I did is more or less the same thing. Is first, what is your most important finding? This is the most, you have a lot of results, but what is the most important? What will be a contribution? What the others haven't found? And there is something that is called Science Me Too. And Me Too means, for example, I am working, let's say, you work with a red frog that is living in Mexico, in Sonora. And then you will write a paper about the black or the green frog that is in, let's say, Sao Paulo. Is this same a frog with a different color? This is Me Too, and you won't get this paper accepted. Why? Because it was already described. Then it is not valid that I use a different color, or I choose a different country, or I choose a different state, at least that this is really something quite different to the things that the other scientists found. And from this, I have to check the issues of the journal that I want to publish, because I want to have an idea of, I choose this, but I have to have an idea if how they write the papers, if there are papers on the topic that I am interested in, if it is, for example, angiogenesis, if there are some publications about angiogenesis and so forth. My vision statement, that is, what is the key message of my paper? What is always, I have to think the most important, the key message. And only when I have a very clear vision, I will be able to write a provisional title, and I have to choose the figures or tables that support my vision statement. I have a friend that always says, oh, if you want to do some research, he does these things. And he said, you have to have the figures and data, or you have to think of what figures and data you need. And now that you have this idea, you will do the experiments to get this information. And now that I have a very clear what is the key message of the paper, what are the data that I need to support this key message, I go to write materials and methods, results, discussion, and finally the introduction. But then again, I will have a feedback in everything, and I have here the vision statement with the figures and table together. This will feedback the materials and methods, results, introduction, discussion, and once that I finish all this, I will have the final title and the final abstract. And I choose some papers. And for example, this is the vision statement of this publication about airborne transmission risks in urban views, a computational fluid dynamics study. And you can read it. And you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines that resume all the paper. The current paper aims to investigate the virus transmission mechanisms in urban views. Sneezing and coughing are analyzed through Lagrange methods in order to visualize the spread of droplets. On the other hand, the spread of aerosols due to breathing and talking is addressed through Eulerian methods combined with the WR model. Several locations for the infected passengers are considered, and the effect of the HVAC and the air renewal ratio is studied in depth by considering different operative conditions. If you check in just these few lines, is everything explained. And this is a challenge. The most important data that is the relative risk estimation in each zone, depending on the distance from the driver to the end of the bus. And this is very interesting because this is another journal, and you have to write in the abstract, in the 150 words, the aims, methods, and results. Then you have to have a very clear idea of why. You can see the aim in 2 lines. To investigate the epiphytic microbiota in grass, clover, herbage, harvested at different sites and occasions, and to explore the effect of different silage additives on the resulting silage microbiota. This is all. I was surprised, materials in methods in so few lines. Conclusions, the abstract. And impact statement. The impact statement usually in this magazine or in this journal is written as part of the abstract. In others, it's written, or usually we write it at the end of the abstract. Can you read the impact statement, please? Read in any language you want. Yeah.
This study contributes with new insights into the effect of different factors, e.g. pH composition, site harvest time and year, on the microbiota in pH and the resulting silages, including the effects of different silage makings, methods on silage microbiota and quality.
Okay. Usually, this is why we write at the end of the introduction. And the editor will read this. And depending of this small paragraph, they will decide if your paper is reviewed or no. Then this is always very important, the last paragraph of the introduction. And then these are the main results of this paper, where they have the treatment and the first and second harvest. As you can see, the blue circles aggregate in one line, and the red didn't aggregate. Then they conclude that the acid treatment doesn't work, and that the best treatment is the inoculation. These are the most important criteria to accept manuscripts for publication. Yo creo que ya se me movió esto, ¿verdad? When you don't listen me, please tell me. The most important 5 criteria to accept manuscripts for publication. 1, importance, timelines, relevance, and prevalence of the problem address. If the problem is not important at this time, it won't be published. Second, quality of the writing style. Sometimes it is writing in so confused way that it's impossible to review it, and they will send you back. What is the quality of writing style? That it is well writing, clear, straightforward, easy to follow, and logical. If you don't write it straight, it will be very hard to read. Many, many years ago, when I was studying English in the States, the writing teacher told us, oh, you the Latin, right, to say something, do this. You go around, around, and around, and at the end, you go direct to the point. This is not valid in English. If you are writing in English, you have to go straightforward. And it is very different when you are writing when you are a journalist, when you are writing a scientific paper, or when you are writing a story, a poem, a novel. You can write very nice, but here we don't use a lot of adjectives, we go direct to the point. The third point is that the design was appropriate, rigorous, and comprehensive. Always, when you finish, you can give it to another person that haven't read it, and this person will tell you if she understands or if he understands or no. If he said to you or she said, oh, I don't understand, doesn't matter that she's not a specialist, it means your writing is very confused. The fourth point, degree to which the literature review was thoughtful, focused, and updated. And this is why you told us that ChatGPT doesn't help us because it's not updated. Help us until 2022, no, 2020, 2021. And use a sufficiently large sample. Then, when we are writing, when we finish to write something, we have to check all these 5 points. And do I have all these? Oh, yes, maybe I will submit it. If I don't have, I have to go back and correct this. Top 5 reasons to rejecting papers. 1, inappropriate, incomplete, or insufficiently described statistics. Overinterpretation of results. I found a result and I write, oh, this is the most important result of the world. If I don't have enough data to support, it is not valid that I write this. Or I like, oh, maybe this can be applied in all the continents, in all the countries, and it will work very well. This can be one reason because the paper is rejected. Use of inappropriate, suboptimal, or insufficiently described populations or instruments. Sometimes I write something, let's say, for example, education level in original communities. And I go to one community and I have an interview of 5 people. I don't have enough data. Small, obvious, biased samples. This means I have the data, but I want to find something. I say, I will find something. And I try to adjust my data to my feelings. Uh-huh. You have to choose the right journal tools for it. Many times we have problems in Latin America because the topic is not interesting for other countries, or because I have very few interviews, then I have to look for a journal, maybe a Latin American journal that used to accept these papers. because in another way, if I want to see it to a journal that have an impact factor of 14, 15, they will say no. Then this is why I always have to check what is my main point, what I found, how many data I have, where I can publish this. For example, one of my students, postdoc, PhD student, sent a paper to a journal that has an impact factor of 14.5, and it is a method that he implemented. The method is important, but the journal answer, this is outside our. The impact factor is when you publish a paper, how many citations the papers have in average. Then 14.5 is a lot in living science. The test is poorly writing or difficult to follow, that I already told you. Then these are the main reasons, because the paper is rejected, but also because the journal we chose is not the appropriate. Okay. I don't know exactly how many of you will be working on this, but let's have the teams. You will be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You will be again 1, 2, 3, and go on, please. To number yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. 5. Yes? The mic, yes.
Professor, we talking about inclusion in science. I'm just thinking that, and I would like to ask you that. These reviews, they are reflecting about different ways of perceiving science.
Yes.
Because, for instance, here in Brazil, we have this action that are including, for instance, traditional people, indigenous people, I mean, people from Quilombo, I don't know how to say it in English. And I know that they have sometimes other way of seeing science.
Okay.
And I think science, I study history of science, and I learned that science is not neutral. We have this philosophy that is a Western philosophy of white people, of a specific people. So I know it's a lot of work. I don't think it would be instantaneous, but I would like to ask if the reviews, the magazines, the journals, if they are reflecting about this, or they are just want to impose their way of seeing science, okay?
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. I also work with, I am very dispersed. I work with original people, with communities. I don't like to work Indians. And we try to have a synergy between the traditional knowledge and the scientific and technological modern knowledge. Then we have learned a lot. The work is really interesting. we have problems to find out in which journal we publish it. We choose a special journal. We are working with MILPA. MILPA is an agriculture system from before the Spaniards come, where maize or corn is cultivated together with other plants. And there are a lot of traditional knowledge. Then we work on bioeconomics using this topic, and we send it to a journal. The first time we have some studies about it is a special native corn that resists this corn is in a place where the rainfall is 200 millimeters per year. Then it's a very dry, and the corn is able to grow in these conditions. Then we study how it is able to resist these conditions. And we in the community that they gave us the seeds, they say to us, this is resistant, this no, this a little, and we check it in the lab, and it is true. We did this. We work with the communities, so they decide which companies they want to have. We have workshops, and finally, just with paper and pens, they did all the studies, they did the business plan. We try to publish this, and then they answer us that they want more information about bioeconomics, and a lot of things. We write again the paper. We need 6 months. We send it again, and now they send it back and say that they want more information about MILPA, and they want more information about all these workshops with the methodology and so forth, or whether we write 3 or 4 different papers. Then the main point is to find the journal, because you don't change this mind yet. And I guess when you, and maybe Lilia, you can help us. If you are writing papers about the gender and all these things, do you have problems? They are rejected?
Papers about gender?
Yes.
Well, usually we are publishing in specialized books and also proceedings which are interested on the topic, and so it's not that important. Whatever you publish, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's garbage, but any data that you can provide, it is important, so we have not have so many problems on gender. But I was checking that because I was attending our conference, maybe I will talk about it, and they were talking about those, how to deal with small data, which is one of the problems when we work with gender, because you have a small sample, or when you work also with about ethnic issues, which is all you have a very small sample. And I found out the paper where they explain how to deal with this. So I think when you are working in these cases, what you have to pay attention on is in the way you present it and the relevance, the statistical significance of your data. If you are very clear about this, like I cannot have a bigger sample because there is no bigger sample, okay? So that is the point. So you have to emphasize this, and then I guess you will have no problem, okay?
Okay. We have many problems because one of my colleagues went on ciencia de datos, data science, and then he always wants many data. But he's working because now he has an application in the SALT, and then we go to the communities, we have the interviews, and we can have a lot of interviews when we are using the cell phone. And then this data, when we go to some place where we have internet, this data will go to the cloud, all in order, and then we can work with data science. But this is the main problem with this data and with the journals. And sometimes you don't know what to do because, for example, for us in the National System of Research, something that is very important is the index factor. Then if I am working in engineering and I have only books, they're going to accept them to me. Then in some way, we have to change the evaluation of the scientists, of the research work in our countries.
I'll do it in Spanish. En computación y lingüística, la conferencia más importante en América es NACL. Hay 3 o 4 investigadores de Latinoamérica, uno mexicano y una argentina y otros más, que empezaron a moverse y después de muchos años, una argentina, con apoyo de los latinos, está terminando de ser la Science Chair, como la organizadora de la conferencia, y ella creó por primera vez, este año se va a hacer la NACL, se va a hacer en México, y tiene un workshop, como un track, que solo acepta papers específicos para Latinoamérica. Entonces, después de 15 años, va a aceptar, como hay muchos temas. Para quienes no sepan, NACL es la que investiga ChatGPT, todos los modelos de lenguaje. Y tuvo que pasar, ella obviamente se formó en Estados Unidos, en Stanford, no sé qué cuánto. El de México también, creo que ahora hay un mexicano que está posturando para ser el siguiente chair después de ella. Entonces es un ejemplo en computación lingüística, se logró después de, creo, por primera vez en la historia. Creo que estaría bueno que otras conferencias tengan un workshop o algo específico para Latinoamérica.
Sí, no recuerdo si había alguien de Bolivia. Jorge Quiroga está impulsando mucho todo esto en Bolivia, en la parte de bioeconomía. Hace varios años Jorge tuvo un puesto en el gobierno. Puedo pasarles los datos. Y también si nos pasas esos datos en el WhatsApp, por favor. Bueno, entonces vamos de nuevo con los equipos, por favor. Yo les había pedido que se enumeren del 1 al 5. ¿Sí? Y entonces se van a juntar unos con unos, 2 con 2, etcétera, etcétera. ¿Qué es lo que vamos a hacer hoy? Van a escribir, se van a poner de acuerdo, independientemente de sus especialidades, para darle un título tentativo al artículo que van a publicar. Y van a poner nada más cuál es what is the most important finding. Second, write the key messages of your paper. The last paragraph of the introduction, that is the impact of your paper, and you will create one table or graph with the results that support your key message. Then, and remember, don't write letters, page and page and page. You in maximal 2 pages or 1 page, you can write this, please. And we have here 3 computers. Every computer has a paper, so you can use it. And if you need one more, I don't know how many equipments. I have also my computer, and maybe you have a computer. You can sit wherever you want. And if you have some question, please ask me. I am here to help you. And if you need to wake up with some candy chile. Uy, census. Creo que me estoy durmiendo igual que tú.
Déjame tomar un café. Te mandé el artículo que dice tratamiento de muestras pequeñas. Bueno, ahorita te lo voy a mandar porque no lo encuentro. ¿A dónde me lo envías? A tu correo. En el hotel. Ah, bueno. Porque no traigo.
Oh, can you tell me a tomada?
Hay computadoras acá, quien necesite, por favor.
Aquí hay 3 computadoras.
Y podemos utilizar la de allí. Que hay otra. Ya encontré las convocatorias también. Sí, las voy a poner aquí cuando las necesites después, ¿no? Lo malo es que no puedo usar mi computadora.
Si tienen una.
¿Qué necesitas?
Okay. Te lo mando, pero si lo quieres ver ya, si tienen una memoria, y voy a ir a traer. A ver, déjame verla. Luego he hecho memorias acá.
No, acá yo les pido a ellos.
O si es una más. No, para que te lo compartieran.
¿Por qué? ¿Qué necesitas? Solo enviarlo por correo y yo lo pongo acá.
No, para Mayra.
O te pones en el Zoom y ahí lo mandas.
También puede ser. Yo también cuando los vi dije, está viendo de cabeza, creo.
No, parece que no todavía, porque uno ya tiene. Donde quieras.
¿Ahora quieres una pastillita?
Sí, pues pensé que habíamos porque ¿sabes cuánto encontré?
¿La puedo llevar?
Una pastilla de miel. Estaba pensando, ya no fui a dejar mi maleta. Bueno, porque después también pensé que es la hora en que hace más calor. Y además como estoy medio dormida. que me vaya en taxi y me tarde 2 horas en llegar.
No, pero no lo sé ahora.
Me dijeron que puedo, según el taxista la podía llevar en el metro.
¿Qué cosas tuvo complicado? Ah, porque fue muchos cambios en el metro.
Pero creo que es esas direcciones, porque antes era más fácil.
Antes era solamente un cambio.
No me acuerdo.
No me acordaba de eso. Mira que casi tengo las instrucciones últimas. No me acordaba de ir a un tren.
Yo me acordé que hicimos un cambio.
Un cambio sí, pero...
Bueno, también traje de estas.
Ah, bueno. Han traído demasiadas cosas.
Es que esta noche ponemos todo junto para
que no-
ponerlo como regalos, ¿no?
Pues no sé si
Pero hoy a la noche vamos a un restaurante.
Así sí, no, pero decimos para saber qué hay, como si vamos que mañana y pasado mañana.
Yo vi que hay una Habana en el shopping, puedo ir a comprar. Habana en el shopping.
No, pero solo mira lo que hay por ahí.
Ok.
esto traje también.
¿Qué?
Es una bebida que se llama, está hecha de pasas. Es alcohólica.
¿De pasos?
¿Cuántos pasos?
¿Es alcohólico?
Es alcohólica.
La que dice de cuántos pasos la quiere.
¿A cuántos pasos quieres caerte?
Todo en todo.
Pero,
Le digo a los de Zoom,
La tarea ya la tiene.
pensaba, no sé si quieran ustedes o quieran, o se las doy a los chicos.